Welcome into Off the Hook Sports, everybody. It is SEC Media Days, Day 2. That's right. You are just looking at me as of right now. Dave Hooker is down in Dallas himself, running around getting all the interviews he needs. As you know, today is the day that Tennessee football takes the podium. Josh Heupel, Cooper Mays, Amari Thomas, and Keenan Peely will all be there. So Dave Hooker is doing what he can to speak with all of them. We're going to have interviews throughout the week. We obviously got a lot to talk about today with the Vols at the podium. We spoke a little bit about it yesterday and the questions that should be asked of them, but they're not the only team at the podium today. The Georgia Bulldogs are there. As a matter of fact, they should be underway very soon. The Oklahoma Sooners are at the podium and the Missouri Tigers. So we're going to recap day one. We're going to look a little bit at what questions should be asked of teams at the podium for day two. I'm going to reveal to you guys a couple of interviews that Dave Hooker did on Monday, including one with Chris Plank of the Sooner Radio Network about Oklahoma in the SEC and about Josh Heupel. That should be very interesting. He did another one with our friend Josh Ward, who they called up with each other in Dallas yesterday. And then we're going to show you some of the interviews we can of Tennessee players in the suites behind the scenes before they go on the podium. If we can, we'll try to talk Josh Heupel at the podium when he's there. And by the way, we also have some other news to cover, most notably the roster changes and the jersey number changes for Tennessee, which was revealed yesterday. So a lot lined up. Great to see you all. Smoky Mountain Red, first commenter, says, wait, you are not playing NCAA football on the show today? LOL. Ha, well played. Smoky Mountain Red, interesting story for you. I was so addicted to the NCAA football game before they stopped making it 10 years ago. I actually had a moment where I had to quit cold turkey. It was bogging down my life on so many other things. I can tell you right now, dating back to my high school days, I wasn't doing well in middle school or high school because I was so addicted to that game. Not just PlayStation, PS2, PS3 games in general, not even Madden, just that game caused me way too many problems. Trust me, I would be too inefficient of a human being, particularly with a kid, if I got that game. I had to quit it cold turkey. I know my limitations. I know my addictions. That's one of them, but I hope everybody else is enjoying it. I will still cover it. So let's go ahead and dive in. And again, we hope to have Dave Hooker on the show a little bit later. For those who are joining in, he's out making his rounds, doing his interviews in Dallas, having a lot of fun down there, I'm sure. We're going to start, though, with the first day of SEC Media Days. We're going to recap some things that still took place on Monday. For those who weren't there, and for those who didn't pay attention, the new look SEC officially went into play on Monday with SEC Media Days in Dallas. Greg Sankey took the podium first, and LSU, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina all took the podium after that. Lots of things to get to. I don't have the board, guys. I can't do Cooper Mays setting us up for first down, second down. Just in your mind, envision this as a 4-down scenario, because that's pretty much what we're doing here. So we want to start with what Greg Sankey said at the podium. And he said a few things. I wrote about it for those who want to see it online yesterday, but a couple of things. One is the new, and we actually did speak about this yesterday, so I'm not going to dwell too much on, but one is the new iPads on the sidelines. Just for those who are interested, I don't think this helps Tennessee. This actually hurts Tennessee. The iPads are going to give defenses a chance to adjust to offenses in much more real time, which benefits defenses struggling to keep up with the tempo. And Josh Heupel's staff doesn't do much adjustments anyways in games. And this is to help for in-game adjustments. So it's not that much of a help. And it actually neutralizes the helmet communication advantage that you have with the offense, because now the defense can communicate to linebackers, even if they can't huddle because of the tempo-based offense. So that actually hurts. It actually does hurt Tennessee specifically. He said all the political speak possible about expansion. He said we're 16 teams today, 16 teams tomorrow. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean they couldn't be 32 teams by Thursday. So we're going to play that by ear. But nothing really to read from that. The big thing for me for Greg Sankey, and this will be our first down, is that there's still no tiebreaker format for the SEC. Guys, we're in July. Okay? We're in the part. We're less than 2 months away from kickoff. The SEC has a 16-team conference with no divisions and an 8-game schedule for every team, and just the 2 teams with the best record are going to go play for the SEC championship at the end of the year. How do you not have a tiebreaker to determine that? Do you think it's likely or unlikely that there won't be ties for third or second very, very quickly? I mean, I don't understand why he's taking so long and why the conference is taking so long to work this out, but they haven't been able to work out their scheduling. I still think they signed a bad contract with ESPN. I think this is just more evidence of bad administrative leadership in the conference. And I say that as Dave's down there right now trying to work with administrators to get interviews. I'm fully aware of that. But there's just no way to look around that. The SEC has major issues when it comes to administrative leadership, and it only looks worse and worse. And you can't even say Nick Saban is strong-arming them anymore. Nick Saban, who is down there right now and who, by the way, gives superb analysis, he doesn't care anymore. He's not going to try to strong-arm the league to do things he wants. He's out of it. He's retired. People just can't agree on stuff. An 8-game schedule with no tiebreaker, no divisions is not sustainable long-term. Look, you might have 3 undefeated teams this year in the conference. Bold prediction down the line. We'll get there, but I can't believe that Greg Sankey still hasn't addressed this issue. Second down, Brian Kelly is making the same mistakes he made last year. LSU, for those who don't know, I thought they were going to easily be a dynasty under Brian Kelly. And the reason I said that is because LSU, since the turn of the century, when Mark Emmert took over and decided to bring their facilities into roughly the 19th century, because they were basically straight out of the medieval times, they have focused heavily. Well, they've been the easiest job in America, because now that your facilities are up to snuff, you can just keep kids in Louisiana, and that's the best football talent state in the country. They don't leave. You can wake up and win a national championship. This is how Ed Orgeron was able to win with the best team ever. This is how Les Miles was able to win a national championship. Those 2 coaches could never win a national championship anywhere else, particularly Les Miles. At least Ed Orgeron was a recruiter. They both won one at LSU. So I thought with Brian Kelly, a coach with brain cells, they were going to have a dynasty underway. And the offense did show that it should be last year with Jaden Daniels. The problem was the defense. Harold Perkins had moved over to middle linebacker. He's a true edge rusher. This is just like when Tennessee moved Leonard Little over to middle linebacker in 1997. When Little was a true edge rusher, it was stupid for Brian Kelly to do that, and the defense was historically bad as a result, which is why they were a 3-loss team and not a national title team last year. Well, Brian Kelly said on Monday that the focus of the offseason was Harold Perkins getting bigger to be able to get off blocks and retooling the defensive staff. Newsflash, I think Harold Perkins struggled at middle linebacker because he was already too big. He belongs on the edge. If you're going to get him bigger, that could be to move him inside or just keep him on the edge and keep him much more effective if he's still fast. I think this is LSU saying we're going to make the same mistake as last year. Their offense should still be great. They expect loads of touchdowns, as Brian Kelly said, with Garrett Nussmeier replacing Jaden Daniels. But once again, it may not matter because the middle linebacker issue is real, and they're putting the wrong player at middle linebacker. So I am still wrong about LSU and the dynasty I thought they would have because Brian Kelly's making a key mistake. On the other hand, somebody who's maximizing possibilities at a school, Ole Miss expectations are sky high. Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin took the stage on Monday, and they both seem to be very high on their program. Jackson Dart said that Ole Miss is at its peak. For the record, that's not true. They were at their peak pre-integration with Johnny Vaught when they were winning multiple national titles in the early 60s. Of course, integration hurt them significantly because they were so hostile to it more than any other school in the SEC, and it kept them from being able to recruit nationally for 50 years. That's why they got rid of Colonel Reb, the mascot, for those who don't know. It was killing them in recruiting, and ever since they've gotten rid of it, they've actually had top 10 programs since then with Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin. Jackson Dart says, the quarterback says Ole Miss is at its peak. I would say maybe in the modern era, Ole Miss is at its peak. It's possible if you want to say specifically the modern era, Ole Miss is at its peak. I might go with that. Lane Kiffin, obviously, a lot of the talk was Monty Kiffin and his father passing away. Our thoughts are with him. But Lane Kiffin said he's dealing with rat poison, the old Nick Saban phrase. So Lane Kiffin is walking around saying, oh, we're a powerhouse program and we are absolutely dominating and everybody's expecting us to win and we just got to learn how to be humble. That's what the whole thing of rat poison is. Dude, Ole Miss, yes, you made the 2 New Year's Six Bowls in 3 years. You're not a powerhouse perennial dynasty at this point, though. This is hilarious that Lane Kiffin says that. I think there's a little bit of trolling going on with that, with Lane Kiffin, because, again, why would they have rat poison? That's like the reverse side of when, an elite 5-star quarterback goes and wins a national and he says, well, they said I couldn't do it. Yes, they did. Everybody said you could. For Lane Kiffin to say you're dealing with rat poison because of all the positive media press and all the expectations, nobody's expecting Ole Miss to be a dynasty or win the national title. We think they will be good through the transfer portal, but there are just some questions about it. If anything, the questions should keep them humble more than the rat and keep them arrogant. That just makes no sense. So Lane Kiffin is out there just, I think, saying stuff. That was third down. Cooper Mays with us in spirit to say third down. Before we get to fourth down, the show brought to you by Ray Varner Ford.
Cab 4x4 STX, $45,985. 24 Ford Escape, $30,962. 24 Ford Maverick XLT, $32,720. Ray Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
All right, fourth down with Cooper Mays, again, in spirit. The truth of the matter is Shane Beamer and Clark Lee really put on display how irrelevant Vanderbilt and South Carolina are in the SEC right now. Clark Lee showed that Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt because he bragged about retooling things and all the changes he made to make sure the program was better. Guys, remember, Clark Lee had a finish to 2022, went 5-7, and the idea was that, Vanderbilt is going to come back, and they're going to be a very solid academic program that wins in football, and Clark Lee's building something new, and he's different than everything about Vanderbilt throughout history. And then they went 2-10 last year, and they were horrible. So now he's changing things up. It doesn't matter. Vanderbilt's just not good. Shane Beamer, on the other hand, he came out, and he said that we're South Carolina. We have no ceiling. That's just delusional, and no one even covered it. Because South Carolina had, again, a strong finish to 2022 by beating Tennessee and Clemson. Spoiler alert, may have been because of the Connor Stallions Michigan scandal. And then last year they went 5-7. They're losing Spencer Rattler. There's no reason to believe in this program. Nobody even paid attention to what Shane Beamer had to say. So the truth be told, neither of these programs are relevant at this point. It's over. I think that SEC order has been restored, and with Texas and Oklahoma in the league, I just don't see South Carolina and Vanderbilt can go anywhere. I do think it's possible that South Carolina does not have a ceiling. Now, Steve Spurrier did almost reach a ceiling. I think a few more years, if he hadn't been so impatient, he may have actually gone further. But they were a fluke loss to Tennessee in 2013 away from playing for the SEC title, and that game would have determined who played for the national title between South Carolina and Auburn, as it did between Missouri and Auburn. So South Carolina's ceiling is, as we know so far, is coming very close to competing for a national title. But that's not Shane Beamer's ceiling. So even if South Carolina doesn't have a ceiling, they have one under Shane Beamer. And so it was laughable when he said that South Carolina has no ceiling. So that's just how that goes. That's pretty funny. We're going to be back in 30 seconds. The show represented by Banks & Jones.
Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
No Dave here, no rules. We're going to play 4 downs twice because the Georgia Bulldogs are now underway at SEC Media Day speaking as we go here. And 4 teams take the stage at SEC Media Days on Tuesday. By the way, there's now 4 teams taking the stage every day because there's 16 teams in the conference, and the conference and the media days last 4 days. So the Georgia Bulldogs, the Tennessee Vols, the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Missouri Tigers are all taking center stage at SEC Media Days Day 2. And we are going to talk about the biggest questions facing those teams for this 4 downs, starting with Georgia. I think Kirby Smart and Georgia's biggest question this year is just the criminal issues facing the team and the traffic issues. Look, there's no question about their talent. There's no question about Carson Beck, the player, a generational quarterback, may be the best in the SEC. And as high as I am on Nico, As an NFL draft scout, I would probably draft Carson Beck first over anybody. And I mean, maybe anybody in college football at this point. But Georgia's had 19 traffic incidents since the Jalen Carter tragedy in January of 2023 after they won their second straight national championship. Georgia has had 1,000 different incidents of players just randomly getting involved in reckless driving, things like that. The truth of the matter is, all of these incidents, almost every one of them post Jalen Carter, are things that you can see college kids doing. As Josh Pate said last week, it's one of those, you ever been at a movie theater or something or in a parking lot and you see a car doing something stupid and you're like, well, that guy was dumb. That's all you really saw them doing. And yeah, you don't kick players off the team for that. But if it keeps happening, and it's not the same player doing it, but if it keeps happening, do you have to change your punishment? It's tricky. I don't know the answer. But Kirby Smart's going into SEC Media Days and came into SEC Media Days within a week of 2 more Georgia arrests for reckless driving, including star linebacker Smell Munden Jr. So they got to address this. I don't know how. I don't know what they'll do. But there's just no way they can't address it. And that's a big problem. As for Tennessee football, and obviously that's unique to us, but you can see our article online now on offthehooksports.com on the major questions facing the Vols overall. We spoke a little bit about them on Monday, but part of that is Josh Heupel's taking the stage the same day as Oklahoma and Missouri. Another one is, why are Nico Iamaleava and James Pierce not there? Because those are the 2 biggest stars for Tennessee. We have broken that down at length. Is Tennessee football all in for 2024? They made a lot of moves with NIL and returning veterans. It seems they are super committed to trying to win big in 2024, specifically, even if it sacrifices the future. How special of leaders are Keenan Pili and Amari Thomas? I mean, Keenan Pili has played 1 game for Tennessee and was invited to SEC Media Days. Amari Thomas, on the other hand, is going to SEC Media Days as a defensive lineman for his 2nd straight year. Very few people go to SEC Media Days twice in general. Defensive linemen are not supposed to be leaders in general, but Amari Thomas as a defensive lineman going twice, that's a real big question. And then there is an on-the-field question of the defensive back rotation, the left guard, and the running back for the Vols, who will step in for all of those roles, because Tennessee football can't do what it wants to do unless all of those voids are filled. They have voids for different reasons. Tennessee didn't really have a left guard last year. They lost Jalen Wright at running back and Jabari Small, and they overhauled their secondary, just pretty much forced everybody into the transfer portal. So those are the major questions facing the program. I think the biggest one facing Tennessee, though, if I were to pick one, I would honestly say that the real question is, how much does Josh Heupel believe in Nico Iamaleava's star power? He didn't bring him to SEC Media Days, which was weird. The story is that Joe Milton caused a drop-off at quarterback last year, which is why the offense couldn't do what it usually does, which is why Tennessee went from 11-2 to 9-4. The other story is that Nico Iamaleava is going to restore Tennessee football's offense to what it's supposed to be. I happen to think that Nico Iamaleava was a quarterback created in a lab to run Josh Heupel's system and is transcendently great. So if all that is true, how much does he believe in Iamaleava's star power, and does he agree with me? And is that why I believe he's all in on 2024? But again, if that's all true, why wouldn't Nico go to SEC Media Days? I mean, again, 11 of 16 SEC schools brought quarterbacks. It's the year of the quarterback in the SEC. There's a lot of star quarterbacks everywhere. It's weird that a guy like Nico, who could end up being the best of all of them, doesn't end up going to SEC Media Days. So that's a question I would truly ask Josh Heupel. So Georgia's criminal issues is first down. Tennessee's expectations for Nico Iamaleava is second down. Third down, Josh Heupel's former school. Is Oklahoma prepared for SEC Media Days league play? I mean, or for SEC league play, excuse me. That's the question they need to ask at SEC Media Days. It's the same one you asked for Texas. Nothing's really going to change for them. I mean, Oklahoma is coming into the league with a new quarterback in Jackson Arnold, who is his own Nico in a certain way, because people believe in him as a potential superstar. They have a coach in Brent Venables who just got a gigantic contract extension because of 10-3 season. That was 10-3 in the Big 12. There were a lot of questions about the Big 12. So will they be able to maintain that in the SEC? Honestly, I don't know. And a key game, funny enough, will be Tennessee-Oklahoma at the end of September. That'll be a telling sign of where Josh Heupel and Brent Venables stand as head coaches. I think Josh Heupel does have to win that game. And obviously there's a storyline of Josh Heupel getting fired by Oklahoma in 2014 because Bob Stoops wanted to scapegoat him for the issues they had that year. The truth of the matter was, it goes even deeper. It wasn't just protecting his brother Mike Stoops as defensive coordinator. Bob Stoops tried to force the Johnny Manziel RPO offense onto Josh Heupel with Trevor Knight. Heupel insisted that Knight couldn't run it. It created a catastrophe. It didn't work. And as a result, you had what happened in 2014, Josh Heupel being scapegoated. He's never forgiven Oklahoma. And people will say they've mended fences. I don't believe they have. But that's kind of a really interesting point. And that's definitely something worth looking into. But again, in general, Oklahoma's question is the same as Texas. Are they ready for SEC play? Can they handle the league? We honestly don't know. And we probably won't know for a while. So I got to be, again, I don't know for sure. But it's a little bit odd where Oklahoma's standing on this before we get to Fourth Down, the show brought to you by Neubert Collision Center.
Its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
All right, fourth down. Missouri taking the podium on Tuesday, their ability to maintain success. Eli Drinkwitz shocked everybody by just going 5-5 his first year at Missouri because that seemed like a total disaster of a program. Then post-COVID, he goes 6-7 in back-to-back years, and it doesn't seem like he can do anything better. And then 2023 comes, and he shocks the world by going 11-2. The real story was week 3 when they beat Kansas State 30-27. With Chris Kleiman as Kansas State's head coach, Colin Klein as their offensive coordinator. That was a big win for Missouri. They also had a pretty solid win against Memphis, a solid Memphis program. Their losses were LSU, who they put up a fight against, and number 2, Georgia. No shame in that. They beat Kentucky on the road. They obviously beat South Carolina at home. And then to prove they were legit and it wasn't a fluke, they blew out Tennessee in November, where Eli Drinkwitz changed his whole game plan to get that win. I don't care about the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. Those New Year's Six Bowls meant nothing last year. Well, that's not a word. Those New Year's Six Bowls meant nothing last year because Ohio State didn't care to be there. However, the Tennessee win was legit. The Kentucky win was legit. The Kansas State win was legit. But he did change up everything for his game plan to beat Tennessee. And his other wins were South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Florida, and Arkansas. That's 6 wins against teams that had losing records last year. And then you can add a 7th in Memphis, because even though Memphis did go 10-3 with Ryan Silverfield and did very well, they are a group of 5 schools. So that's 7 wins they should have had. Ohio State didn't have anybody in the Cotton Bowl. That's actually 8 wins they should have had. So Kansas State and Tennessee are their only impressive wins. Kentucky's not a bad win since it was on the road, but Kentucky did go 6-6. So that's the big question facing Missouri. Are they legit? Some people are talking about what are SEC media days. That's a great question by Barry Allen. It's an old part of tradition just for the league. It started back in, I think with players coming, goes back to 1989. It's just kind of an unofficial way to kick off the college football preseason. Now, I don't know how this is going to go in the future because so many teams are joining conferences and you're going to have super conferences. And I do think you're going to have more of a need to spread things out in the calendar years. But the truth of the matter is SEC Media Days is just kind of the same with all the other conference media days, is an unofficial way to be able to kick off the season. Derek says, I gave absolutely no credit to Missouri and Eli. No, I think Eli's actually a very good offensive coach, Derek. But he did change up his entire game plan for Josh Heupel. Now, that is an indictment against Heupel for not adjusting on the fly in the middle of the game. But by that point, Tennessee was loaded with injuries, riddled with injuries. They were limited at quarterback. So there's questions over what he could have done in that moment. When we come back in 2 minutes, we are going to talk a little bit about some of the interviews Dave did on Monday at SEC Media Days. He spoke with Josh Ward and he spoke with Chris Plank. We'll cover both of those, and then we'll give our own thoughts on what comes out of those interviews. Stick with us. We will be back in exactly 2 minutes.
Cab 4x4 STX 45,985. 24 Ford Escape, $30,962. 24 Ford Maverick XLT, $32,720. Ray Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Have you seen the latest TriStar Hats Co. product?
TriStar Hats Co. What's that?
You know, those really cool hats, shirts, tumblers, and even license plates with 3 stars like the official Tennessee flag and stripes like the American flag. Pretty patriotic if you ask me.
Ah, gotcha. Seen those. Those are cool. Where can I get them?
Simple. TriStarHatsCo.com. And if you order now, there's 10% on any order $50 or more. Plus, use the promo code HOOKED.
With the promo code HOOKED, you get 10% off. That's hooked.
And don't forget free shipping with any order over $50. Stock up at TriStarHatsCo.com. That's TriStarHatsCo.com. There are plenty of wannabes out there, so make sure you go to TriStarHatsCo.com for the best quality and customer service.
Will do, and I'll be sure to use the promo code HOOKED. That's hooked when I do, to save an additional 10% off. TriStarHatsCo.com.
TriStar Hats Co. is a trademark of TriStar Hats Co. LLC. Any use without express written consent is prohibited.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. There was a connection issue. Please, guys, on the message board, if there's anything wrong, let me know. I did reconnect, but it happened in the moment. So sometimes these things happen when you're the only one hosting the show. But yes, just please, if the connection issue was gone again, which is an issue, which is a problem. All right, guys, bear with me here. Trying to get this figured out. Okay. What about now? How is the connection? Okay, guys. Sorry. Had some issues. I will try as I can to fix this. I apologize for these connection issues that just happened. These things do happen every now and then, but we will do our best to fix them. As of right now, I want to bring up to you the fact that the show is brought to you by Work Trucks. We're all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with the work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Trucks supplies vehicles to people just like you and gets you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's a fact. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to worktrucks.com. Worktrucksllc.com. That's worktrucksllc.com with an X. Why risk chancing your future and business on the wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? Worktrucksllc.com. Work Trucks will also work to make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your need to a T. Work Trucks with an X, .llc.com. Proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. All right, guys, we are back on. We're back going again. I'm going to try to pull up the interview that Dave Hooker did with Josh Ward on Monday. Dave Hooker did an interview with Josh Ward about Tennessee and the things going on in Seoul. Let me just share the screen real quick and see if I can get that in. Just give me one second, guys. We're still working on this. And here we go. All right. The screen has popped up. This was Dave Hooker with Josh Ward on Monday discussing Tennessee's appearance at SEC Media Days. Let's dive in with that interview real quick.
So, Josh, I do think it's going to be well, look at Texas. I also wonder if they have to take a little bit of a step back. They fell more in their conference at times. They're one of the crew now. At least they will. They think like that. No.
Guys, still bad internet connection. I am so sorry for this. I really apologize. I'm going to pull it up offline, which I've been able to do recently. So just bear with me here. Again, this is just today. We're going to have this happen. We're only going to have this issue today. This should be fixed tomorrow, but there are some problems right now with our connection issue, and it's been causing a few blackouts. So again, this is Josh Ward. Dave Hooker spoke with Josh Ward on Monday about Tennessee and SEC Media Days and everything going. So we're going to try to share the screen with you here. We got live QuickTime player. Oh, unable to share the screen. Okay, guys, we are having many issues on this. I would like to really apologize. Just give me a second, but we're still trying to work through these issues. But the truth of the matter is, Dave Hooker spoke with Josh Ward, and they talked about everything from SEC Media Days to expectations for the league. They spoke about Texas in the league, why Tennessee didn't bring anybody to SEC Media Days themselves. All of that is on display here. So we're just bear with us for a second. We're really trying to get this up. And you guys realize and again, if you guys are having issues, please let me know. We're really trying to get this resolved. This is not an issue we foresaw today, and so we're trying our best. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I really do, guys. I did not mean for this to be the case. If you can just give me a second, we should have this off and running in no time in 1 second, but there are some issues. While we're trying to work on this, the show brought to you by Medicare Misty. That's right, Medicare Misty. We are going to play that ad, and then hopefully when we play it, we'll be back in rolling. Thanks, guys, for still bearing with us. I promise we're getting this fixed. This is shoddy, and we beta tested this from SEC Media Days. Well, while we're trying to get this figured out, why don't we talk a little bit about, and guys, tell me how I look on the studio. That's the one question I really have. If I am looking okay on the studio, that's all I care about right now. There is an issue. We will get it fixed. I would like to truly apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know what's causing them right now, but yeah. So we're going to try to get this show rolling still. We're going to start talking about Tennessee's roster changes, which is an intriguing story that we all want to pay attention to. For those who had a few roster changes, they were updated on Monday as SEC Media Days was underway. Sorry, again, bear with me. Gotta love live TV, right? Gotta love live TV and technical difficulties when you're trying to fix some things. But for those interested, okay. All right. That was necessary. Again, I'm more tech savvy than this, guys. I know this is a little wild. I shouldn't be struggling like this. It's a problem for me. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Vols roster changes. Tennessee had multiple roster changes the other day, and I think the was Emmanuel Okoye. Emmanuel Okoye, I thought, was going to be an edge rusher for Tennessee. That's where I had him for a long time. If he was going to change positions, I would have thought he would move over to defensive line. Well, apparently that is not the case. Emmanuel Okoye, not defensive line. I would have thought he would move over to tight end. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently he's moving over to defensive line. Okay, guys, how are we connected now? How's this? Is this better? Pulled on the 5G. I think the 5G might actually help a little better. I'm right below it, so we're going to see. You guys let me know how it's doing on the. I'm so glad you guys are working with me on this because I wasn't sure if this would actually. Yes, I do believe we're doing better now. I think we're doing better. This is, man, you gotta love Wi-Fi sometimes, right, guys? All right, you know what? We're gonna pull this back up again. Dave Hooker, for those who weren't paying attention earlier, was able to speak with Josh Ward. They spoke about SEC Media Days on Monday and just Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC. They spoke a good deal about who is coming to SEC Media Days representing Tennessee. All of that was an interesting interview. I want to go ahead and play that with Dave Hooker and Josh Ward. Again, I apologize for the issues. I think we have it up and running now. But so again, Dave Hooker spoke with Josh Ward, who is a great friend of the show. They were on for SEC Media Days in Dallas Monday. Josh Ward talks about James Pierce. He talks about Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava, and he talks a good bit about Texas and the newcomers to the SEC. So let's give this a shot now. This is Josh Ward with Dave Hooker on SEC Media Days.
So, Josh, I do think it's playing week to week. It's going to be the biggest challenge. But when I look at Texas, I also wonder if they have to take a little bit of a step back. They've promoted themselves more than their conference at times. They're one of the crew now. They're not the leader. At least will they think like that?
No. This is different in that in the Big 12, they had a reason to think that because the other league members, when you think about the Pac-10 going after Texas and Oklahoma, and it ended up not working out. Instead, they get Colorado and they become the Pac-12. But at the time, the Big 12 was like, no, you can't leave us. So they made concessions to Texas and Oklahoma. The SEC is not that way. Alabama and LSU and Tennessee and Georgia, they don't need Texas. They do to grow the revenue. I mean, there are ways that it helps. But without Texas and Oklahoma, the SEC schools winning championships, they look at Texas and just see them as a legitimate competitor, and they do strengthen the league. But those schools, they don't take a back seat to Texas, at least in their own mind. So Texas will probably come in and try to push others around. It's just not going to work that way. So what Texas needs to do is win right away. And they have some confidence in going to Tuscaloosa last year and winning. And I think that gives them credibility if we're talking about can they go play with the best. They went to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama and were clearly the better team that night. Again, week in, week out is a little bit different conversation. Texas has the players. They have a head coach who understands what you have to be, and that matters. If you had a head coach at Texas coming into the league that didn't really know what it was going to take to win in the league, that would be a huge disadvantage. Sarkisian knows, and he has players in place. Now he just has to keep building, and he needs some wins in year one to back it up.
So let's talk specifically about Tennessee. They don't bring Nico or James Pierce down here to take.
Pierce, I'm not surprised at all. He's an all-SEC player. He might be the best defensive player in the country. That is a realistic scenario. He's not the best player on the team when it comes to the media. I think they're still working with him on that. I think they've spent some time behind the scenes preparing him for the attention he will receive if he continues to do what he's done. But the media day session is not where they want to kind of test out the development there. With Nico, I think it's as simple as he has a bright future. They believe in him, but they're going to let him go show what he can do before they put him in front of everybody. It's a different approach from other schools. Oklahoma has said, Jackson Arnold, same class as Nico, it's your time, go say hello to everybody. So they're introducing him to the media this week. Tennessee doesn't want to. I think Josh Heupel takes a different approach, and that is, I'm going to take seniors, veteran guys who have been here, in Amari Thomas's case, or Cooper Mays, who's done so much media, or Keenan Peely, who is one of the oldest people in college football, coaches or players. So I think it's about guys that he knows will be comfortable, maybe don't bring a ton of attention outside Knoxville, but will represent Tennessee the way that he wants.
Josh Ward, Sports Animal, follow him. What's your Twitter again to make sure they don't follow the country music guy? Yeah. By the way, aren't you playing Neyland Stadium September 22nd?
So,
or is that Morgan Wallen?
I'm hoping to open, and I have been invited via social media to many shows in the state of Texas. So the country music singer Josh Ward, he is popular in Texas. So everybody, I'm home. I'm ready to play my shows at Josh_Ward to follow, and I might have some new material coming out soon.
Nice. All right. There is a Josh Ward country singer. You know why you should make the move from radio to country
He dominates
music?
me on Google, too. So if you search my name on page 2, Josh Ward's music gets page 1.
Tennessee had a quarterback with that really messed with me in the last name. But with the one reason you should leave radio is just get into country music, right?
Why is that?
Chicks. Just as simple as that. He's Josh Ward. I'm Dave Hooker.
Sports Talk Radio, isn't what?
That's right. Your target demo is men 25-54. That's a rough group. All right. He's Josh Ward. I'm Dave Hooker, live from SEC Media Days, brought to you by Work Trucks and our friends at Ball Auto Group right there on Calhoun. Stay tuned. More after this.
Yes, that was Josh Ward with Dave Hooker on SEC Media Days talking about Nico Iamaleava and James Pierce. And I do agree. I understand the idea behind Nico Iamaleava and James Pierce not attending SEC Media Days. I just think the star power of Nico Iamaleava outweighs anything else when it comes to veteran leadership or anything like that on SEC Media Days. There's just no way around that. You can't ignore it. And I think that, truth be told, Tennessee should have brought Nico Iamaleava. As far as Texas and the SEC not being the big dog on campus, look, this was a concession by Texas to join the SEC. I've said that from the start. They had always been hoping they would be the top dog wherever they went. They strong-armed the Southwest Conference breakup to get who they wanted in the Big 12, and then strong-armed the Big 12, which is why other teams were leaving, and they didn't mind, and they tried to strong-arm the Pac-12 when they went out there. They couldn't strong-arm the SEC. They basically had to get rid of the level of power they were given in other conferences. I don't know for sure how that's going to last with them long term, but the truth of the matter is Texas, that was always going to be an issue for Texas, was that they were going to have to make a concession to join the SEC, a concession that they haven't had to make for any conference or any league they've been a part of. And honestly, over, I'd say 5 decades. I would say since the days of Darrell Royal in the 60s, Texas has been strong-arming their way to get what they want out of whatever conference they're in, which, yes, to a degree is just the Southwest Conference and also the Big 12. But again, Texas spearheaded the efforts to start the Big 12. And then their moves almost spearheaded the efforts to break up the Big 12. The Big 12 now has moved up with the times, so I think that's been a big benefit. I think that's made them a big beneficiary. But they can't do that with the SEC. Now, if they do it with Greg Sankey, who knows? I mean, Greg Sankey did already give them the easiest schedule possible, which was flat out embarrassing that they managed to do that with the SEC. It was kind of pathetic, quite honestly, that Greg Sankey would give Texas such an easy schedule. They were clearly trying to have the best possible, the easiest possible situation for Texas because I thought it'd be good for ratings. And quite honestly, I thought that was a pretty low move by Greg Sankey. But Greg Sankey's made a lot of things and a lot of decisions that I would criticize. So I can't sit there and say too much. I feel like Greg Sankey has messed up with contracts. He's given certain teams more beneficial preference treatment on scheduling than others. He did take vengeance on Alabama with their schedule this year, solely due to last year and Nick Saban strong-arming things. And of course, if you're going to not be objective like that, if you're not going to be neutral, then yes, you will end up going out of your way to benefit Texas. So I do think that Greg Sankey is kowtowing to Texas a little bit, but the ability to kowtow to Texas is going to be significantly less than it was back in obviously 2000, back in the Big 12. Back in the Big 12, that wasn't going to happen because for obvious reasons, the Big 12 completely depended on Texas. So I think that at the very least, you can say that the SEC won't let Texas just totally strong-arm them to doing whatever they want. I'll give them that much, even if it is true that Greg Sankey gave them a bit of a break. As far as Tennessee, again, with SEC Media Days, look, the storylines with Nico and Pierce was just too much of a missed opportunity. As much of respect, this is about Heupel running things his way and the respect he has for certain players who he feels like deserve to go. Amari Thomas, Keenan Peele, and Cooper Mays. And chemistry outweighs everything with Josh Heupel's team and his system. That's why they were so good in 2022. And I think he wants to stick with that. And I think that's a big reason why why they think the offense will be able to take off. But the storyline, I mean, James Pierce could be the number 1 pick in next year's draft. Nico could be the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Both are top 10 picks. I mean, honestly, I don't understand why they wouldn't have both of them there, because that's a storyline on its own and it's huge for recruiting and it is a missed opportunity. But those were some interesting takes from Josh Ward on Texas in the SEC and who Tennessee brought to SEC Media Days. This next guy that Dave Hooker was able to interview, Chris Plank of the Sooner Radio Network. Plank talks about Oklahoma joining the SEC and Josh Heupel going to face his alma mater this year, the school that fired him. Nobody gives a better perspective on something like this than Chris Plank. We are pulling him up now. This is Dave Hooker speaking with Chris Plank of Sooner Radio Network about Oklahoma in the SEC and Josh Heupel.
In Dallas, Texas. That still sounds a little bit weird. Brought to you by our friends at Work Trucks and Volunteer Automotive Group. I'll tell you more about them a little bit later. Joined by Chris Plank with the Sooners Radio Network. Chris, you're now in the SEC. What do you think?
This is a whole new world. I mean, it's amazing. We came here, Toby Rowland, the voice of the Sooners, and I do a radio show. Well, he does a show before mine, and we got here at 5 a.m. this morning, right? Just because the excitement level, right? And by 7 a.m., there was already a juice and energy, a buzz unlike anything I think I've felt at one of these events. That can be mundane, it can be a little bit coach speaky, but there is there's a buzz, there's an excitement, and as we're talking right here, there's news breaking for Oklahoma. They've changed their whole tailgating setup. There's a new walk of champions, if you will. So it's a whole new world for Oklahoma, and obviously it's exciting to be in the SEC. This is big time.
Yeah, well, is it significantly different than, say, the Big 12 media days that you've covered, or any other maybe that you've covered?
Yeah, it's bigger. I mean, I was talking. I'll name drop like crazy, so I apologize. But I was talking to guys like Andy Staples and Dennis Dodds who've gone through it on the Big 12 and the SEC side, and they've done it for years. Well, this is my first time because it would always be SEC media days, and to see. I mean, again, it's just the massive amount of interest and people and excitement. It's unparalleled, anything that I've seen. The Big 12 always did a great job, but it was on a little bit of a different scale. It's not a knock. I love it. It's a great league, but for what Oklahoma is and where Oklahoma and Texas should be, need to be, and can be, this is what it's all about.
I don't think there's any question that they're positive additions to the conference. It makes it, in my opinion, the best conference on the field. Of course, the Big Ten would have something to say about that, but how would you judge the interest level of the fan bases of Oklahoma and Texas?
Yeah, they're very passionate. It's kind of wild. I've done sidelines for OU football since 2011, and I moved to Oklahoma in 1993. I've never seen a football game at the University of Texas because the Red River rivalry is always right here in Dallas at a neutral site. But the fans, they show out, they show up, they're loud. Oklahoma, and they're passionate. Oklahoma's a very passionate fan base. If there is one area for both of these teams, Oklahoma and Texas, where I'm like, there's no question of their SEC readiness. It's in their fan base and in the energy that they bring. So to me, it's a conference befitting of the following of both of these teams.
Yeah, Brent Venables year one struggles a little bit. Tennessee fans worried that might call a guy like Josh Heupel. Then year two, it gets better for Venables. Your thoughts on that relationship between Heupel and Oklahoma? It seems frayed from the people I've talked to.
Well, I mean, Josh is a major part of Oklahoma Sooner football history. He was the quarterback on the last national championship team that Oklahoma had in 2000. Josh Heupel is part of the Oklahoma football story forever. Unfortunately, when he was coaching, they had a couple rough seasons, and he got fired. And I listen, looking back, you can debate whether or not he deserved another year, but he had to really scratch and claw for his coaching career. Went to Utah State, went to Missouri, and then ends up doing great things at UCF. And I love to see what he's doing at Tennessee. But you're right, there always seemed to be somewhat of a fractured nature to the relationship between one of the greatest quarterbacks in program history and the current relationship. So it was, to me, incredibly reassuring that I can't remember if it was they might have been Coach Stoops or Roy Williams when they went into the College Football Hall of Fame. There was a picture of Josh Heupel and Brent Venables standing with their arms around each other. And for me, Josh Heupel's the head coach at Tennessee, and he's doing a great job. And I want to see him win every game but one this year. But he is worthy of all the shine and all the excitement from Sooner fans because of what he did. Oklahoma was in a bad spot, right, whenever he came on campus in 1999. And he and Bob Stoops turned this thing around. And it was disappointing, or I don't know if disappointing would be the word, just sad, whenever there was the fracture. But he and Brent have a great relationship. I think Brent Venables is going to do great things. I think Josh Heupel is doing and will do great things. And I think it's really cool to see that bridge getting rebuilt between Josh and Oklahoma, because you can't tell the story of Oklahoma football without Josh Heupel.
Let me ask you this. This is the billion-dollar question that every Tennessee fan wants answered. Other than Venables struggling one day and Josh Heupel doing incredibly well, what would it take, maybe the political part of it, for Oklahoma to be interested in Josh and vice versa, or is that out of the realm of possibility?
It's interesting, it's a fair question, especially whenever you think about Oklahoma did struggle in year one under Brent Venables. Won 10 games last year. Now, a lot of people focus on the 3 frustrating losses, 2 of those to Big 12 teams that Oklahoma just didn't typically lose to. But Oklahoma gave a big-time vote of confidence to Brent Venables. They gave him a 2-year extension onto his already, 4-year deal that was left on it. And the culture he's building and the things that he's doing around the program really leads you to believe they're on the right path. Now, if Oklahoma has a situation to where the bottom falls out and they've got to go in another direction, I think that it would be, a direction that they would look. I mean that now. Tennessee can match anything they want, right? Especially whenever you have him doing things as well as he is right now. But for me, I think Brent Venables is going to be the head coach at Oklahoma for a long time. And if something happens, you know they're going to be hitting that Rocky Top area code. But I think both coaches are going to be in their spots for a really long time.
I think Tennessee should be Brent Venables fans. Great stuff, Chris. We appreciate it. How do we follow your work?
At Plank Show on Twitter. And listen, we're pumped to be a part of the SEC. Can't wait to welcome Tennessee for the first SEC game of the year to Norman. You guys will love it.
You're very welcome into the SEC. I think it's two fantastic additions. So stay tuned. More after this Off the Hook Sports. SEC Media Day coverage live in Dallas, Texas, brought to you by WorkTrucksLLC.com and our friends at Volunteer Automotive Group. Stay tuned.
Dave's interview there was brought to you, as he mentioned, by Work Trucks. We are all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for work trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Trucks supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's a fact. Service industry? Remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to WorkTrucksLLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com with an X. Why risk chasing your future and business on a wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? WorkTrucksLLC.com. Work Trucks will also work to make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find the perfect truck, outfit, and they'll outfit it, and they'll make sure it fits your needs to a T. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. WorkTrucksLLC.com. Proud supporter of the Tennessee Vols. When we get back, we actually have some interviews that Dave has gotten pre-Heupel taking the podium at SEC Media Days. That's right. We got Amari Thomas. We got Cooper Mays. We hope to have a couple more. And Tennessee roster changes. Got to get to those. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Fifth year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that. If we wouldn't put our family in it, we're not going to put their family in it. If you're going to say that you're doing the best work in Knoxville, now saying it's one thing, producing it and providing it's another.
The largest family-owned collision center in Knoxville is Joe Neubert Collision Center.
Hi, I'm Rick Terry, and we at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs pride ourselves in the highest quality craftsmanship from a family-owned business here in Knoxville for over 35 years. At Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, we also take pride in being an affordable option for all your game day accessories, especially those fire opals. At Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, we want to be your jeweler every day and especially on game day. Go Vols!
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare. 23 F-150 Super Cab 4x4 STX, $45,985. 24 Ford Escape, $30,962. 24 Ford Maverick XLT, $32,720. Ray Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. We're doing a longer show today because we have lots of interviews to get to. Lots of fun ones, lots of good ones, lots of players. We had the SEC Media Days press conferences beforehand. I'm going to give these interviews with you in the suite real quick. We're going to start with our very own Cooper Mays, who was able to speak with the media on before everybody went to the podium. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with you guys now. This is Cooper Mays before they took the podium at SEC Media Days. Going to go ahead and play that for you guys. Let me get it up. And here we go. This was Cooper Mays earlier today.
Coop, SEC Media Days, this is something you said that you were interested in a year ago. What's it like finally being here?
Big blessing. I think it's a good opportunity for me to represent the school that I go to, represent myself and my family, and just, put my best foot forward.
You've been out there a little bit more, and you and I've talked about that, but as far as publicly, maybe not the most comfortable, but now you're doing it and you're doing it a lot. Can you just kind of talk about your approach to that?
Yeah, just trying to be the best I can be every day. A lot of people aren't blessed with this opportunity to come down here and talk and represent themselves. So just trying to do the best I can with it. I've been blessed, so just, got to take the opportunity as it comes.
Cooper, you've seen quite a few quarterbacks roll through in your time. What makes Nico stand out and appear to be ready for the role?
Just kind of how young he's grown up and matured. I think he kind of came in and was ready to kind of take on the role, whatever that was. But from the first day, he came in and was very humble, very, very eager to learn, and he's done a great job in this.
What's been the biggest difference in him now that the whole game knowing?
Right. No, I knew you did a one-on-one.
Leader of the offense.
What I'm seeing was
and that kind of thing.
Just kind of the way he communicates and carries himself a little bit. He's always been a confident guy and knows who he is and everything. But it's a lot more comfortability when you know what you've done on a college level, and you don't really know till you play.
Has he gotten any louder? We heard he's good one-on-one talking to you guys. Is he still sort of a team-wide leader yet, or is that still coming in a little bit?
Yeah, he's a great leader for us because just how he acts. A guy that has all the things that he had going on, especially coming out of high school, and I don't know if I would come in very humble and ready to learn and everything. So he's done a great job just taking everything in stride, and people respect that.
Planter is a big addition. What do you see out of him, and what do you think he's going to bring to the table?
Just a great platform for growth.
Okay.
He's got everything that
I just need Heupel
and stuff that you can't teach, and he's a great kid as well, and he's come in, a young kid, but he's ready to learn and ready to play, and he's done a really good job, taking hold of the offense and trying to do the best he can.
Coop, what about John sliding over to the right side? How natural do you think that'll be for him?
Oh man, I think it's looking natural for me and what I see, but it's a hard thing to do. People don't really realize how hard it is. I mean, it's like batting lefty and then switching to righty. So just kind of flipping everything around physically, and then you add in the mental side of it. It's a hard thing, but I think John's done a really good job with it, and he's continuing to get better, and it's a process for sure.
How has Javontes handled his injury and being out and missing time and just all that rehab and everything?
Oh, I think he's handled it great. I think anybody that knows Sprags knows that he's got a lot of energy and can battle with the best of anybody. So I think it's been really good for him. I don't know if he's ever really been banged up until that. He's played a lot of ball here and done really good. So he's had a really good time kind of having that adversity and then, switching into a positive thing for him.
A lot of new faces in the backfield. What do you think of the weapons back there, and how excited are you to work with some of the newbies?
Super excited. I mean, we got, they're new weapons maybe, but if there's one thing I know about Coach Hype and his offense is that he knows how to dial it up and use his playmakers. So, I don't know how it'll happen, but I'm sure it'll happen a lot.
How much pressure do you put on yourself in that center position when you are with a young quarterback and you have to call out blitzes and stuff like that?
A lot, but I mean that's what I came back for. I knew what my role was going to be, and I knew what I had to do, and I've kind of found that spot here at Tennessee. I feel like my place is kind of helping everybody around me. I think that's kind of what the center spot does in general, but especially with our offense and what we do. So it's been a process for us.
What else contributed to that decision? What from your first 4 years of your career, good, bad, or indifferent, made you want to come back for another year?
Big thing is I pray about it, finding my faith later in college and kind of just trusting the Lord with my decision making a little bit more. And then I've got a whole family in Knoxville. Obviously, Cade's, in Charlotte. He's on to different things, but the rest of my family's still in Knoxville or East Tennessee. So it's been a really good time for me, just getting close to my family and doing the football thing a little bit more too.
You talked about Javonta's John a little bit. How beneficial is that experience on the line with you, especially with a young quarterback?
Oh, it's invaluable. It helps a great deal. I think the more experience and the more experience you have just in general on the offensive line, the better you'll be. Because you can be strong, you can be athletic, whatever, but until you play, you won't be that great at it.
Coach Heupel talked about, of course, national titles being the ultimate goal. What ownership do you take in getting this team to that place?
Oh, every day. It's an everyday process for us. Coach talks about not wasting a day and doing the best we can and putting our best foot forward. So every day I try to come in. It's hard. Everybody, life, every day is something new. But I think if you have the right mindset and you go in there and try to do the right thing every single second of the day, then you'll be successful.
Cooper, what about specifically the competition there, that left guard spot with some of those guys?
Specific, what did you say?
The competition at left guard for some of those guys competing for that spot.
Yeah, it's the process is still unfolding. Fall camp will give us a better judge of that, but we got a couple guys that we're confident in that could play, and there's a lot of guys that injury happens throughout the season. You never know where you're going to play, so we're just getting a lot of guys ready, and I'm sure we'll find a spot.
I don't know how many reps you got during the spring, but obviously there were a lot of chance for Bison and William to get a lot of work at center. What did you see from those guys, and how do you try to help them along, of course, this whole offseason?
Just growth. I think I talked about a little bit earlier, just trying to help the young guys and everything. Those guys, I think, look up to me and kind of listen to me a little bit. So I try to do the best I can, giving them any tips and everything. But they're still young guys and they're trying to figure it out themselves. So it's just a process, and it takes time.
How much of a mental back and forth game is it when Keenan's back there? I know he's been out and coming back, but him being the quarterback of the defense, when he's in there, you seeing all the lines and everything, that kind of mental back and forth that you guys could potentially have.
No, yeah, it's a great battle. We really, just the whole defense in general has done a really good job these last few years, especially when we are in fall camp or spring ball. I mean, that's all we go against. So just seeing those guys develop and get better each year, and it's been really cool.
Is Cade going to be able to go to the game in Charlotte, or is he going to be too busy?
I'm not really sure. I haven't thought about that yet. Probably not. Probably got his own stuff going on.
That makes sense. Thanks, Cooper.
That was Cooper Mays, obviously one of the most mature players on Tennessee's football team, an incredible leader. You can't say enough about him. Our own Jacob Warren went to SEC Media Days last year, and they had to bring Joe Milton as the senior quarterback, which was why Cooper Mays wasn't able to go. But you do have to give a ton of respect to him. Cooper Mays, just one of the greatest people, and just one of Tennessee's favorite sons on the offense in football. And I think that, when you think of Cooper Mays, he's another Trey Smith, just guys that love Tennessee. Those are going to be two of the favorite offensive linemen in Tennessee football history. Just a ton of respect for Cooper Mays and the type of leader he is and everything he has done for the program. And a very valuable player. I mean, again, the center is a huge part of this offense, and if Cooper Mays goes down, we don't know what to expect, and that was shown last year. We love visiting with him every Sunday or every weekend, and now having him at SEC Media Days is perfect. All right, so next, we're bringing up Amari Thomas. Amari Thomas is at his second SEC Media Days, which is rare in general, but it's especially rare for defensive linemen because defensive linemen are never considered leaders of their team anyway, unless you're a John Henderson type. So major props to Amari Thomas for also going to SEC Media Days for a second year in a row. He was also in the suite doing a group interview. We are going to bring up that now. Here is Amari Thomas, Tennessee's starting senior defensive lineman.
Coach or whoever say you got to come back. You just want to do your.
Nah, it was my choice. It was definitely my choice. It was something that I really just had to think about, pray about, and just know that, of course, I want to get to that next level. But being where my feet are right now, being here in Tennessee, I feel like was the best decision for me.
Where do you see this D-line this season, entering another year? What do you think this line is going to look like?
Honestly, I feel like we have a chance to be really good as a defensive line, but we just have to continue to grow, and we can't get complacent with who we are, but we just have to continue to come in every day and just get better.
How does the defense as a whole take the next step?
I feel like the defense as a whole take the next step is just continue to create chaos, mayhem, tackle for losses, interceptions, just everything, just playing with our hair on fire, having fun, just enjoying the moment.
What about your experience, your first 4 years made you want to have that extra year?
I would say just the people at Tennessee, like, it's a good culture to be a part of, it's a good program to be a part of, and then, like, when you have a chance to have an extra year like that and just know that you're part of the change, and that was the reason why I came to Tennessee, to be a part of change, is a true blessing, and you can't turn down opportunities like that to just be around those people again.
Amari, how much have you been a part of hosting with transfers, and how different is that from high school?
It's really not that different. Like, it's just more so with transfers. Like, they come in, they're ready to get to work. They kind of already know college, like high school guys coming in, trying to learn who they are. But transfers, they already know who they are. But I'm always a part of it. Recruitment, like everything about it, I'm a part of it.
So what those guys hear from you guys as hosts, thinking back on what like you heard and other guys heard, how different is the message now and what they're hearing versus what you heard?
It's pretty a lot of the same, a lot of different. You know, when you just have a different team, it's a whole different team, whole different culture. So of course we're just preaching to the guys that we want them to come in and be ready to play, and just actually like be a part of our team, and not come in trying to find themselves. Like, we want you to come here, be a family, like do what you do, have fun while doing it.
What is the ceiling for James Pierce Jr., and what have you seen from him kind of as it progresses towards training camp?
The ceiling's high for James. Every day he's coming in ready to work, just trying to get better, be a good teammate, just continue to growing. Everything he's doing just to have a productive year, and the ceiling's the highest for him, so I'm proud of him.
Did you know that he was going to, like, did you sense that breakout season coming last year, and do you have any other kind of, intuitions about what's coming up this year?
James is just a guy who comes in every day on the practice field. He makes plays. He's always energetic, high energy, very high motor. So you see it all the time. So you just knew it was bound to happen. So it's good to see that happen on the field, and he's just continuing to get better, and it's going to happen this year.
Is he steering clear of the hype and all the national attention he's getting, draft and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, he doesn't pay attention to nothing like that.
With Coach Heupel's system, the offense is talked about a lot. What kind of motivation do you have to assert the defense to the top of the conversation?
A lot of motivation. You know, when you have an offense like that who goes out there, score fast, put up points, it's good to be a part of it, and you know that you're going to play a bunch of snaps. You know, you're going to have a bunch of opportunities, so it's a win-win. I love it.
You said you expected James Pierce to make that jump. Is there anybody who you think would make that jump this season?
It's a lot of guys that I've seen growth in just throughout this year, from spring, off-season, to the summer. So I won't say any specific names, but I know a lot of guys have really just been putting in a lot of work.
Coach Heupel talked about the goal being a national championship and that being a minute-by-minute approach. How would you describe what that process is like?
It's really, you just got to be where your feet are. You can't look down the road. You got to focus in every day, come in every day, not get complacent, want to get better and want to work. And I feel like we do that. We got a team to be really good.
What was your specific off-season like? Like, how much of it was football, how much was mental, physical things you're working on? What was your summer like?
It was just a lot of everything, just get my body right, mental right, physical, play, everything, just putting everything into it so that I could get the best out of it for the last year.
What does leadership look like to you?
Leadership to me is someone who puts people before him, someone who is willing to care for others, while at the same time know that you're doing the right thing, because if you're not doing the right thing, how can you lead someone? So that's what leadership looks like to me.
Amari, Cooper Mays, you may know, has had some good things to say about you. I wonder how much you guys going against each other in practice has helped over the years, because there's a lot of snaps there.
Yeah, it's helped a lot. And me and Coop, we came in, we formed a great brother. Like, that's my brother, Coop is my brother. We've been out the country together, like, so you experience people like this, you practice every day, it's easy to come in and like talk back and forth, just learning what you're doing, what I see, what you see, and it only helps the team, so it's good.
Take a few more for Amari.
So much changing this year with new additions to the SEC, college football playoffs expanding. Does that really change much for you at all?
Nah, it's the same mindset. Come in, we want to go 1-0 every week, and that's the mindset, that's the culture that we have at Tennessee, and we expect to win, so that's what we just have to do.
Or how excited are you to have Keenan Peely back playing for you guys all day?
I'm very excited to have Keenan. He's a great player, a great teammate, smart, look out for other people, a great definition of leadership. It's amazing. Keenan Peely is a great teammate.
How does he affect what you do on the field, Keenan Peely?
He affects us a lot. He makes calls, different things like that, but I also take pride in knowing calls, so that way he doesn't have to tell me, so that way he can play free as well. So that if we all playing free, then we all having fun. So it's good.
You guys have always had a lot of guys on the defensive line the last couple of seasons. What's it like in that room where you guys all probably want to never come off the field, but
yeah.
you know that if you're on the sideline, the guy that's in there for you is going to probably keep the standard up.
I would say we definitely want to come off the field sometimes. We get a little tired, but it's good to, like you said, have guys in the room who've grown. We've all grown together. We've all matured together. It's like you have, if you look at our team, you have a lot of veterans and a lot of young guys. So our room, I would consider us a lot of veteran guys on our team. But like the D-line, those are my brothers. Like for real, it's fun just to get able to go to work with them every day and know that we all got the same common goal. And we all trying to do one thing and just win a national championship and be the best person that we can be and be the best player on the field we can be.
Thanks, Amari.
Yep.
Thanks, Amari.
Amari Thomas is one of the greatest leaders for Tennessee football. Again, it's very rare for a defensive tackle to be this type of leader. It's even more rare when you consider that Amari Thomas is not John Henderson, Steve DeLong, Reggie White, no disrespect to him, but I mean, we're talking, those are among the greatest defensive linemen in history. Amari Thomas has NFL potential, NFL talent, but his great story is his work ethic and his attitude, and he's just one of the best people. I interviewed him last year. Guys, you can't say enough positive things about Amari Thomas. I'm such a fan of his, and not just because we have a Memphis connection, because yes, he is from Memphis. I am from Memphis, but just in general, Amari Thomas, he was part of the crew that came in with Cooper Mays. He's one of the greatest leaders. He does a lot of the unsung work. Remember, this Tennessee defense is built around pass rushers and elite superstar pass rushers because they want to unleash the beast in obvious passing downs. That's where you get the James Pierces. To do that, you got to have tackles do the thankless work in the middle to command the attention, and that's exactly what Amari Thomas is able to do. Want to change gears a little bit before Josh Heupel is going to go live, which will be in about 25 minutes. Tennessee released new jersey numbers on Monday, and they released roster changes. And a few things from those actually kind of stood out to me. And I just kind of wanted to break those down because they were a little bit alarming, if I'm going to be honest with you. Let's start with the jersey numbers. The most standout jersey number change was actually Rue McCoy. He's gone from wearing number 15 the past 2 seasons to number 5. Squirrel White has gone from wearing number 10 his first 2 seasons to number 3. Andre Turrentine will wear Jalen McCullough's old number 2. Jordan Thomas has gone from number 25 to number 4. Christian Harrison from number 29 to number 5. John Slaughter from number 33 to number 12. Ricky Gibson has gone from number 18 to number 1. And Jermon McCoy will now wear number 3 after wearing number 13 in the spring. That's the Oregon State transfer. Temple transfer, Jalen McMurray, is going to wear number 6 after wearing number 12 in the spring. And MTSU transfer, Jacoby Thomas, who wore number 30 in the spring, is now going to wear number 9. Chaz Nimrod is wearing number 11 after he wore number 81 the past 2 seasons. Chris Brazo wore number 11 in the spring, the Tulane transfer, but he's now wearing number 17. Redshirt freshman Ethan Davis, the tight end, wore number 86, as did walk-on defensive back William Wright, who wore redshirt freshman Ethan Davis, the tight end, wore number 86 last year. Walk-on defensive back William Wright wore number 36. Both are going to wear number 0 now. Stanford transfer defensive lineman Jackson Boy Jackson Moy, is now wearing number 51, even though he wore number 99 in the spring. And redshirt freshman offensive lineman Vyson Lang is switching from number 51 to 54. Defensive lineman Tyree Weathersby is now number 18 after wearing number 41 during his freshman season. Linebacker Caleb Perry is number 8 after wearing number 40 the past 2 seasons. Among the freshman class, Edwin Spillman is wearing number 13. Caleb Beasley is wearing number 25. Freshman safety Idris Farouk is at number 15, all changing numbers from the spring. And on the offensive line, Masai Reddick went from number 68 to 59, and Trevor Duncan went to number 67 to 65. This doesn't seem like a big thing. Jersey changes happen all the time, but when your big stars change their jersey numbers, it kind of stands out. And that is what Brew McCoy did. And honestly, it's weird to say, but players that have changed their jersey numbers, anecdotally, it seems like in my experience, have not had the same level of success they had in the past. The most notable one to me was Gerald Riggs. He was a 1,000-yard rusher with Cedric Houston in 2004. Riggs wore 31, Houston wore 21. Riggs switched to 21 after Houston was gone in 2005, and the 2005 season was a disaster. Riggs went down with a season-ending injury. Just anecdotally, things like that seem to happen more often than not. Jalen McCullough himself seemed to be better with number 22 than he was with number 2, and it's his number that Andre Turrentine is taking. So jersey number changes are kind of intriguing to me. Another interesting one is that Emmanuel Okoye, in terms of position changes, has moved over to the defensive line. Now, this could be for a few reasons. Look, Tennessee is loaded at edge rusher, and it doesn't even matter that they lost Shane Davian Bradley to the transfer portal or to Hutchinson Community College. They are absolutely loaded. But Emmanuel Okoye was recruited as a tight end / edge rusher at 6'5", 243, coming out of Nigeria. Rare athletic talent that is untouched, that very few have enjoyed in the past. Yet he is now on the defensive line. This is kind of a red flag. A lot of people are excited about it, but it just seems like he hasn't fine-tuned his skills. Because if he has that rare athletic talent and he's that size at 6'5", 243, there's nowhere else you'd rather put him than tight end or edge rusher. He's going to be a little bit out of place moving on the defensive line. Now, we heard he was raw, and it's hard to be too raw to play edge rusher. But maybe you can be so raw that that's an issue. So the question becomes, well, why is he changing to the defensive line? Is it just out of lack of depth? Are they going to force him into a role that he's not good for, though? Because then they're going to have to force him to put on weight. Will he maintain his athleticism when he puts on weight? I don't know if I'm a fan of this, but I think it actually has a lot to do with they may think he's a little too raw to ever develop a tight end. And the truth of the matter is they are just loaded at edge rusher. When I mean loaded, I mean loaded. So truth of the matter is I think that might be the reason they're doing this. It's a little odd. It's a little interesting, but I do think that Emmanuel Okoye moving to defensive line could actually be more of a red flag than many of you might think. Again, I don't know fully what to make out of it. It's a little bit odd. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if it's good news for Tennessee the way people think. They're still fine at edge rusher. They have David Hobbs. They have Jordan Ross. They have Caleb Herring. Obviously, those are guys who will all be there after James Pierce is gone this year. Joshua Joseph is a solid edge rusher. Tennessee is going to be fine at edge rusher. They're absolutely loaded. This is all based on the fact that they have such insane depth at the position that they honestly don't know what to do with themselves. And I think they're trying to see if they can move Okoye somewhere else. And if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Sometimes that just happens. But I will say that I don't think they're moving him there because of how great he could be there. I think they're moving him there because they have some genuine issues with what he can do at edge rusher, and they're worried about his ability to play. And then they're also focusing on their depth. And I think they're just making a depth move with him, not a potential move. But we're going to have to see how that goes. The truth of the matter is, sometimes you take a lot of these guys. Okoye himself came from an international NFL organization. You take these guys for potential and talent, and sometimes they just don't work out. Travis says that D-line philosophy is hit your gap, get to the ball, easy peasy. That's true, but that's also edge rusher philosophy. And with edge rusher, you don't even have to worry about the gap. You just have to get around the guy, get around the tackle. So if he's too raw for that, what's he going to do with defensive line? Because there is actually understanding a little bit, and Dave made up the term years ago, and it's true, and I use it now too, which is gap integrity. And understanding gaps on the defensive line can be a lot trickier than you may think in certain spots in particular. And Okoye's not going to be a pure on defensive tackle. He's going to be a hybrid defensive tackle who does 3 technique, 5 technique. Think what they want Dominic Bailey to be. Think what Caleb Herring and Jaquan Blakely were a couple of years ago. That's really what they're looking for Okoye to be. And so, look, moving him this quickly, that does somewhat stand out. I mean, we do have to question that, guys. Look, not everybody works out. I think Tennessee will still be fine, but that is something that we have to question. The show is brought to you by Medicare Misty. We had some technical difficulties earlier getting this ad out. Let's try to do it again to see if it plays. Again, the show brought to you by Medicare Misty.
19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Welcome back. In 2 minutes, we are going to preview Josh Heupel going to the podium for SEC Media Days. We're gonna live cover it here and have a little bit of fun doing it. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Cab 4x4 STX, $45,985. 24 Ford Escape, $30,962. 24 Ford Maverick XLT, $32,720. Ray Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Have you seen the latest TriStar Hats Co. product?
TriStar Hats Co. What's that?
You know, those really cool hats, shirts, tumblers, and even license plates with 3 stars like the official Tennessee flag and stripes like the American flag. Pretty patriotic if you ask me.
Ah, gotcha. Seen those. Those are cool. Where can I get them?
Simple. TriStarHatsCo.com. And if you order now, there's 10% on any order $50 or more. Plus, use the promo code HOOKED.
With the promo code HOOKED, you get 10% off. That's hooked.
And don't forget free shipping with any order over $50. Stock up at TriStarHatsCo.com. That's TriStarHatsCo.com. There are plenty of wannabes out there, so make sure you go to TriStarHatsCo.com for the best quality and customer service.
Will do, and I'll be sure to use the promo code HOOKED. That's hooked when I do, to save an additional 10% off. TriStarHatsCo.com.
TriStar Hats Co. is a trademark of TriStar Hats Co. LLC. Any use without express written consent is prohibited.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
Y'all thought we were done? No, man, we're staying around. We're going to stick on live until Josh Heupel goes. I want to turn it over to the message board a bit, though, first. Wanted to talk a little bit about what you guys want to hear from Josh Heupel. What are you guys expecting to hear from him as he takes this podium in just here a few minutes? I kind of wanted him to talk about what he expects from Nico Iamaleava and what he expects from the whole situation. I do think he needs to be more asked why he didn't bring Nico or James Pierce with him. He did say national championship, for those who don't know, in the suite room. We don't have those interviews up yet. We are trying to get them. But from my understanding, he talked about national championships. I've told you guys from the start, I believe that Josh Heupel is all in on 2024. I think he's always been all in on 2024. So it is kind of intriguing that he specifically said national championship. We're going to, if you stick with us, we're going to keep the message board up, and we are going to, in live stream, be talking about what Heupel said. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. But yeah, what do you guys think? What are some things you want to hear from Josh Heupel when he takes the podium, which could be very, very, very soon? Give me your thoughts. Again, I'm Nico Ihimaliava. I am asking why he didn't bring James Pierce. Is he concerned about James Pierce? Okay, CDB Spiffy from the last segment says that LeBron James wears 23 and 6. Yes, that is true. He wore 23 and he wore 6. His best days were when he wore number 6, though. Okay, he wore number 6 during his Miami days, and that's when he was at his best. Travis says Heupel's going to duck the good questions like a politician. Travis, that is true. But sometimes you can force people to have to respond in a way that will give away an answer. Perfect example of that was 2 years ago when Heupel was asked specifically about Jeremy Banks if there was a fight that happened that kept him out of the South Carolina game because he wanted to keep that quiet. And all he said after that was, yeah, we just try to keep team chemistry and yada, yada, and didn't answer. And it became very, 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 very clear that Josh Heupel dodged the Jeremy Banks question as much as possible. It was actually hilarious. Go back and watch it. It was actually, it was interesting. So I think that that's something that Josh Heupel has. It is kind of funny. I'm dead serious. Go back and look at it. It was a hilarious situation. So yeah, we're still waiting, guys, on Josh Heupel to take the podium. Again, as I told you, don't go anywhere. We will be live covering SEC Media Days, covering Josh Heupel at the podium. We're here to have a little fun with that. I think Josh Heupel is going to say a lot of interesting things if he gets the right questions. And yeah, the issue is, will he get the right questions? You never know with this guy. You never know with some of the media and some of the people there. I mean, it's a lot to have to. I will say it is a lot to deal with sometimes when you're trying to do this. But again, if you try to get the right questions in, you can really get them to have to answer things that they may not want to answer. And Josh Heupel is the king of not wanting to answer things. He has mastered saying a lot without saying anything, and sometimes he doesn't say anything. So it's kind of very intriguing when that happens. But yeah, Josh Heupel will be going live very, very, very soon. We will be covering it here. Travis says, I hope someone asked him about the Oklahoma game point blank. Do you have a point to prove? Yeah, that's a very good question. Do you have a point to prove with the Oklahoma game? That's where I would go, quite honestly. That would be my major pick. Is the Oklahoma game. We have no idea how he would go with that. So yeah, there's a lot of places he could go with him speaking. So again, we're getting this up very soon. Josh Heupel, I'm going to go ahead and get the live stream set up as we're working on that right now. Let's see. I'm going to make myself bigger. Don't worry. Just give me a second here. Alrighty. And then let's see what we got here. We're still going here, guys. Just give me a second here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to have it, if you guys can see, I have it in the bottom right corner when Josh Heupel goes live. I think I'm going to move this over to the left, actually. No, I will not. I should have done that. That was a mistake on my end. There we go. But yes, we're going to have Josh Heupel in the bottom right corner, and we're just going to talk about and we're going to break down what he says and see if it's see how significant it is. I'm turning the volume up. He should be live any moment now. We are waiting for Josh Heupel to take the podium. We're going to recap what he says. Again, you guys give me your thoughts on the message board, what you guys think. Travis, he's going to be diplomatic about Oklahoma. I can just tell you that much. He's going to be very, very diplomatic about Oklahoma. Not in a way that we want him to be, but in a way that he likes to be. That's going to be his big thing. He's going to be extremely diplomatic about Oklahoma. Not so sure I want him to be.
Good morning again.
Let's see what he says.
Josh Heupel was a national champion as a quarterback, and he took the reins of Tennessee's football program in 2020-21. 21, was named the SEC Coach of the Year in 2022 and has been a two-time finalist for National Coach of the Year. He's one of only 4 active FBS head coaches to lead multiple programs to New Year's 6 bowl games during the college football playoff era. And last I saw Josh, we first said hello in a suite in Omaha as Tennessee and Texas A&M were playing in the College World Series final, and I said congratulations to him as he was on the field post-game celebrating with Danny White, Rick Barnes, Peyton Manning, the Tennessee baseball program. It's my privilege to introduce to you University of Tennessee head football coach Josh Heupel.
Kind of interesting that they're playing Rocky Top right now. Guess that makes sense.
Great to see everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed their extended long vacation here over the course of the summer. Commissioner, thanks for the kind
vacation
introduction.
For you, Josh.
He mentioned that
us.
last time I got a chance to see him, we were in Omaha, and as I was getting ready to come here, got a chance to see Coach Tello on the couple nights ago. Obviously, the game was here, or is here tonight, and this is the first time I've had an opportunity to talk since I got a chance to go to Omaha and watch Seymour and Blake and Coach Vitello bring home a championship to Rocky Top. What an unbelievable experience, opportunity to watch the game with Coach Barnes, Danny, our athletic director, get a chance to be on the field and celebrate that moment. Really proud of what they did, bringing home a national championship to Rocky Top, what Coach Vitello has built there, and have an opportunity to have my son with me and really my entire family. So great night. You look at the success that our brand, our logo has had recently with baseball, but basketball during the course of the winter, and you look at all the team sports across the board being in postseason play. I think it really speaks to the trajectory of our university, our athletic department, where it's going, but it also speaks to the leadership that we have there. So fortunate to work with Danny White, our athletic director, Chancellor Plowman, and President Boyd. They're visionaries. They give us all the tools to go compete and have created an unbelievable experience for our student athletes there on the campus. The brand is stronger than it's ever been. And really excited about where we're at on the football side of it, but where we're going. As I sit here today, it's hard to believe that this is the fourth time that I've been here at SEC Media Days. And
right out of COVID.
I look back,
too.
So proud of what our staff and our players have built, the connection, the committedness, the care factor that they have for each other in the program. 20 wins over the last couple of years, top 3 in the league, the best that it's been in 20 years.
A little Butch Jonesing yourself right there. You were 9-4 last year. I wouldn't celebrate that too much.
Extremely bright, and we're in a race to get where we need to extremely quickly. Proud of the culture that we've built. I mentioned that a second ago. We got unbelievable players that care about the people around them and attack every single day the right way. And they do it right on the field. They do it right in the meeting room, but they do it right in the classroom.
You didn't bring James Pierce, who got in legal trouble last year. So
as you look at
for you to say
us academically, we've shattered every record over the last 3 years, have reset that record for fall term GPAs. I think we had 53 individuals that were recognized by the conference at the end of the regular season, and we're fortunate enough to have some of those guys here with us today. We got 3 really special individuals that are with us today. They represent all that's good in college football. They represent what it means to be a Vol. I take great pride in that we could have had a lot of different players come with us here to Dallas and have an opportunity to speak with you. But these 3 guys have unique stories and are great ambassadors
particularly Cooper Mason,
for the
Amari
Tennessee
Thomas,
Volunteers. Keenan Peely started over 37 games in his career. Unfortunately, had a season-ending injury week 1 of last year. Decided to come back for another year of college football. He loved his experience on Rocky Top and is a dynamic playmaker that's poised to have an unbelievable season.
And as Dave Hooker says, as a grandfather.
Preseason All-American center. Has started for us for 4 straight years. It's in his blood to be on Rocky Top. His father played there. His brother played there.
You also still haven't found a replacement for him.
It's vitally important to him.
It's a big reason you need him back.
He's a great member of our squad, and he's got great understanding of who we are offensively, the ability to communicate, and has great leadership skills as well. Amari Thomas, who was here for his second time, is a 4-year starter for us at defensive tackle. He's kind of the mayor inside of our locker room.
That's a big statement. Calling him the mayor.
Our
like,
SEC representative
that level of a leader
on the NCAA Football Oversight Committee. But is vitally important to
Told you can't sing enough of Amari Thomas, guys. Best leader on the team.
In our 4 years there, he's been a great leader every single year. This football team that we have, when we embarked on our offseason, when we got back in January, it's a unique roster in that we're really experienced at certain spots, in particular on the line of scrimmage, and we have some youth that surrounds them. The challenge has been that our young guys can't be young when we get to the fall.
Code is
the
the youth
leadership
has
that we have from our
improved
veterans
on the back on where the youth is just improved.
Young
over
guys
last year's
coming
areas.
in, buying into the culture, competing every single day. This has been a great group, a great team up until this part of the off season. The first 3 quarters of our off season, they've been unbelievable in their work habits, their competitiveness, how they've attacked every single rep, every single day, and I cannot wait to get to training camp. I'm ready to go compete with these guys on the grass. And I know Vol Nation is excited about the season that we're ready to embark upon as well. It's hard to believe that training camp's right around the corner, in less than 2 weeks. We're ready to go compete. We got great renovations that are going on inside of Neyland Stadium, one of the great venues in all of sports, let alone college football. Our fan base.
Question, Derek, is if they can maintain the tempo that Josh Heupel runs. That's been the trick of finding a quality center.
We'll be ready to go kick off here in a little over a month. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get Seth, Diego, and Nolan. Please, again, give your name and affiliation before your question. So, Coach, we'll start over here to our left on the second row.
Hi, Coach. Nick Kelly, AL.com. You've got another South Dakota native in the SEC with Calhoun and Dave Hooker.
Yeah.
What's that like to have a South Dakota native on the other side of the third Saturday in October rivalry?
Great question. I want to hear what
I'm
Heupel
not
says
sure
about
anybody pictured 2 South Dakotans being in the SEC a few years ago. Calhoun's somebody that I've known for a long time. I was a little bit younger, watched him as an athlete, and then through our coaching paths have crossed and stayed in contact at different times. Excited to have him in the league. Great person, great coach, and we'll be ready for
really
Saturday.
Couldn't say anything intriguing about South Dakota, man.
We'll go
Come
down
on,
the center aisle about
I've never been to the state, and I probably never will go.
Coach Billy Jones, George Plaster Show, Nashville, Tennessee. Last year you talked about, as your program progresses, inches become harder to move than miles. I'm curious how you thought your team did in moving those inches. If not, what can you do to do that better this season?
Yeah, if I said miles, I'm not sure that miles might have been right. Certainly maybe feet or yards. I'm really proud of a lot of what we did last year. Us, finishing New Year's Day Bowl, a win.
What he's saying is I'm proud of the fact that we were able to do that, despite the fact that I got the wrong quarterback to run my system.
In the last 2
That's
decades.
true, Josh Heupel there.
At the same time, that's obviously not the standard for where we want to get to. But proud of the steps that we took. We had some setbacks on some Saturdays, but that's why you get up, line
had
up,
some setbacks
and
as
go
a
compete
program.
every single
You were
day
11-2 in
to go
2022.
be
There was
your
no
best.
step
And,
taken in
This
2023.
group's been fantastic. I'm really excited about the future of who and what we're going to be. When I took this job 3 years ago, everybody can go back and kind of research, you know, what we were embarked on as far as challenges and how we had to navigate those.
No one's denying that you've done a great
we're
job
at the point
rebuilding
now
it.
where we're almost free and clear of navigating all of
2023
those
was a
things.
step back.
Our roster is
There's
you know,
nothing
the
to hide
deepest
with this
that it's been by far, and inside of this league, that's important as you go through the season. I couldn't be more excited about going and lining up with this group this fall.
Coach will go in the section just in front of you to the right.
Coach, Emily Grace McWhorter from the next round. You and Coach Halsley are familiar with Oklahoma. Is there anything you're looking forward to, particularly when you travel to Norman this September?
This is the question we want.
Yeah,
This is what we want.
first time that I will have been back. It will be unique for myself to be on the other sideline. Obviously, there's been a lot of Saturdays where I was on the home sideline. But there's so many, you know, great teammates, friends that will be there.
Tell us you hate Bob Stoops.
Great.
Come on, give it to us, Josh.
For the university, the program. A lot of friends that are coaching on the opposing sideline that day. Former teammates that will be coaching on that opposing sideline too. So it'll be unique to be back there, but excited to be there.
Okay, we'll go back over here to our left-hand side, 4 rows.
Travis Brown, KBTX.com. What have you liked and not liked about the helmet communicators in your practice time with them?
This is a good one, particularly with the iPads.
Practice communication, being able to take that to game day, quickest, most efficient, effective way to communicate with somebody on the field. Gives you a chance to solve some of the problems
What does that do with the iPad?
in an immediate way. I think the thing that the players would say is there's times where they want to turn the headset off and eliminate some of that communication.
Are you saying they're thinking too much?
As coaches, you always got to be smart in how much information you're actually giving them.
Okay, we'll go down that center aisle again in the section in front of me.
Brandon Ogden, Tyler Morning Telegraph. Coach, the secondaries area where y'all had a lot of turnover, brought in a lot of new guys, and just what is it you're expecting from him in that group this year?
Yeah, expecting those guys to play at a championship level. I love the group as far as their length, athleticism, playmaking ability, their willingness to be physical, take on, disrupt blocks, tackle in open space. Their care factor, their knowledge and understanding of what we're doing.
Touting them in a way that I didn't think he would. I will say that.
You know, their practice every single day. I'm really excited about it. I mentioned a little bit earlier, but this is the deepest that we've been within our roster, and that affords you to have the opportunity to have great competition every single day.
He said that in response to a question about the secondary, which is a big giveaway, guys. He's very high on them.
It's important as you go throughout the course of the season as well, and I'm looking forward to that group taking a real step here this fall for us.
She'll go here to the far left on the aisle. First,
James Hale, OKC Sports Radio in Oklahoma City. Josh, it's great to see you again.
See what they think.
James, I figured I'd hear from you at some point, man. So good to see you.
Right. You were a great quarterback at OU, and you've always been good with quarterbacks. Tell us about your latest quarterback, and he was such a highly recruited kid.
He's going to give all the coach speak on this.
Was highly recruited because of his athletic traits. You know, he's got the ability to throw the football sideline to sideline, vertically down the football field, extremely accurate, loose, quick triggered arm. He's got the ability to extend and make plays with his feet. That's as a runner that's, you know, evading and making a play down the field. The thing that I've loved about Nico is, you know, when he came into the building, he wanted to earn the respect of his teammates, and you do that through your actions, not your words. Everybody understands how hard he works to become the best that he can at his craft. He takes great ownership in his skill set and developing it.
Be a vocal leader,
understanding of our offense.
Why didn't you bring in the media days?
Just you know, as a young player, gets his first start in the bowl game. One of the best compliments you can give to a quarterback is when it goes from the practice field to the game field, it slows down for him. During the course of the bowl game, it slowed down for for him. Thought he was in great command out there. Now there's a lot of things that he learned from that game. He's had great urgency in his preparation all offseason. I'm really excited to see his growth and development as a young quarterback throughout the course of this 24 journey.
Maximized it.
Okay, we'll go right in front of me, second row, Barry.
Barry Trammell with the Tulsa World. Hey, Josh, can you
Barry said, is one who said Heupel,
25 years now since you came to Norman. You're going back to Norman in September. Guy that came
trying to
in
get
with
him to
you,
say something good.
Brent's the head coach on the other side. Yeah. OU's joined the league that you've established yourself in. Just the crazy nature of your journey as it relates to Oklahoma.
Barry, I feel like only you could have predicted that all these things would have happened 25 years ago. You know what I mean? As the grand wizard of Oklahoma media.
Grand wizard, that's a weird thing to say. I just say KKK.
Coach Leach recruits me. Brent, I got great respect for Brent. Playing while he was coaching, but also being beside him in the staff room. I don't know that I ever forecasted they were coming into this league, Oklahoma. It's just those are two really good brands coming in. Obviously, Oklahoma, my experience there. I think it's an exciting time to be in this league, and really unique that I'll have an opportunity to go back to Oklahoma. It'll be a completely different viewpoint.
80% completion, 40,000 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 5 rushing, 391.
It'll be unique for me. I got family that still lives back there.
5 interceptions, 9 rush
a lot of friends, teammates.
Like the stat line, Derek. Very ambitious.
Coaches
Why not
that
more
I stay in
passing
contact
touchdowns, bro?
that coached
Go
me
for
while
50.
I was there, and obviously administration too. So it'll be a unique Saturday.
We'll go
Not
stand
really
a second
saying
in front of me
anything
over here on the left aisle.
about going to Oklahoma.
Kind of
I'd rather just wait for the week of the game, honestly.
Josh, why did you ultimately not bring Nico Iamaleava here?
Here we go.
Man, it's not about why I didn't bring Nico. It's about why the three guys that I talked about earlier are here. And these are guys that are in 6-year plus that have unique stories and are great ambassadors, but great leaders inside of our program. And felt like, in our track record, my track record of who we've brought here, we've brought veteran guys. And so it's not about Nico, it's about, these three guys, why we made that choice.
I actually
we'll stay in the same section on the right aisle.
Hey, Coach, Chris Phillips, SEC Unfiltered. Chris Brazel's a guy who's gotten a lot of hype this offseason, the Tulane transfer. Just talk about what makes you so excited about him and the rest of that wide receiver group, the luxury it is to help a young quarterback with some of the talent you've got in that room.
It's always a luxury as a quarterback to have guys that have the ability to separate, create bigger windows, to have length to go up and attack the football, have the skill set to defeat press at the line of scrimmage, let you get the ball out of your hands, not sit back there and take a bunch of hits. Chris is somebody that has got a lot of talk about because of what he's done on the field. Been a great teammate, but he's been a dynamic playmaker up until this point as we went through spring ball. And his best is still coming. He's continued to grow and mature physically. Just his strength, explosiveness.
Travis, I'm not from the Midwest. I don't know the Wizard of Oz
reference. He got there in January. Really excited.
I mean, I know the Wizard of Oz.
Looking forward to having a great training camp with him.
Very, very.
We'll go over to our right-hand side, about 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Dean Blevins, News 9, Oklahoma City. Josh, back on Nico, it sounds like the learning curve that you're expecting him to hit the ground running, and it's not going to be any wait till mid-season to gain your form. Is that accurate?
Well, I certainly hope not. You know what I mean? We want him to hit the ground running. He's a young quarterback. Played really well in the bowl game. He's going to continue to grow through all of his experiences here throughout the course of the season. He's only going to continue to get better from all of those. But we expect him to play at a really high level from the very beginning, and we need that from him.
Okay, we'll go in the center aisle, straight down the aisle, right there in the center.
Hey, Josh, Trey Wallace with Outkick. The relationship with Tony Vitello and how you've been able to use the baseball program to kind of cross-recruit with football.
Talked a little bit about this.
What has that been like for the last 3 years, and how have you used Vitello to maybe land a few players on y'all's roster?
At times there's baseball, football guys that you're recruiting, so having a clear dialogue with him, I think is really important. Him and his staff.
I think they should go that route.
But I think one of the great things, when it's going good all year long as far as your logo being in front of recruits. And so what Coach Vitale has done on the baseball side of it, or Coach Barnes has done on the basketball side of it, those are great experiences for recruits when they come to campus. They get a small taste of what Vol Nation is like and what game days are going to be like in front of 102,000 inside of Neyland Stadium.
102,000 is not unique.
And we'll go over to our right, Coach, on the near over to the right side.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN out of Huntsville, Alabama. I did want to ask about building a program, and you've done it at a couple of places. It was Central Florida and now at Tennessee.
He didn't build Central Florida. He took over an undefeated team.
Is it easier, harder to build a program how you'd like to?
Well, I think the portal has positives and negatives within your own roster, right? You lose some, you gain some. The portal gives you the ability to go patch holes on your roster quicker than it could happen just through general high school recruiting. It's a little bit like junior college recruiting used to be, where you had immediate needs and had to patch your roster.
Going to the center aisle, about 3/4 of the way back, right in front of the camera.
Hey, Coach, Rick Butler with Rocky Top Insider. Can you just talk about the impact of your two new assistant coaches with Inge and Sims heading into this fall, which is what they've been able to do in the spring and summer so far?
I never thought about that, but it's kind of an underrated storyline.
Two guys that are elite teachers, that are relationship driven, their ability to gain trust from the players inside of their position rooms as quickly as they did, parlayed itself into both of those position groups having great springs. And they've had great summers too, but just the on-field experiences, our linebackers, I thought, played with great eyes, lineman assignment, their communication, their ability to construct blocks. They were playing their best football as a group that they had since we've been there. And Coach Sims has done an unbelievable job with the running back. It's a young group outside of Dylan Sampson
let's be honest.
that have really grown in their understanding and their football IQ.
But hey, it is what it is.
Really excited to see him continue to develop that group here as we get into training camp.
Coach, we'll go in the section in front of my table on the far left aisle, 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. You just mentioned Dylan Sampson. What kind of role do you expect for him to have this year, maybe an increased opportunities for him?
Yeah, he will have increased opportunities. He's a guy from the moment that he got there, had great feel, pace, and vision. He's done a great job with the ball in his hands and out of his hands. He's become a really good pass protector. He's got the ability to help you in your return game as well. After his freshman year, his ability to impact his teammates, Dylan's one of the strongest leaders that we have inside of our locker room. Just a dynamic personality that isn't afraid to call on his teammates and make sure that they're meeting the standards. He's
running back who can't pick up a pass block is asking his teammates to meet a standard. That's a really weird scenario, quite honestly.
In the orange.
Dylan Sampson needs to meet a standard.
Hey, Coach, Bruce Marshall from WHBQ in Memphis. A schedule question for you. 2 years ago, you had that game at Pitt that I really thought kick-started you guys early in the season. And last year, you didn't really have one of those away. You had the game in Nashville last year at the opener. But this year, you got that NC State game in Charlotte, the second game. How important is that for you to get a game like that?
It really was the thing that got Tennessee going
early. Do you think that can serve the same purpose as that Pitt game did 2 years ago?
Yeah, every season's different. I'm not sure you want to necessarily go into overtime to kickstart your season, but it certainly helped. NC State's really good program. Coach Dorn's done a really good job there. They're a really good football team.
They are.
That'll be a big time.
I'm going to give Coach the go on NC State. Guys, I feel like I'm wasting your time going through this. Josh Heupel's not going to say anything, but we're trying to cover it. We're doing our best.
I have a question. We have time for one or two more. Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. All right, all the way up at the front. Guys, if we could get all the way up at the front. Got one right in the front row.
Dead silence.
Hey, Josh, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat. It's been a few years since you've been to Fayetteville. They're on the schedule this year. Just your thoughts about preparing for that game.
Yeah, always a great venue. Fan base is extremely passionate, and early conference game on the road. Know that that'll be a big test when we get to that Saturday.
Cody says
go right behind. Second
Cody,
motion.
It's not about Cody.
Hey,
Says
Josh,
I think
Carl's the one with the on the box score.
It's about a size. That's why he can't pass
a bad
block.
word for a lot of college football fans. But can you
I
talk
think
a
he
little
can
bit
still
about
pass
the
block.
positives
I think he
for
can
your
pass block
guys,
if he put on
just
weight,
some
but I
of
don't think he's
those
put on any
personal
weight in the
stories that
offseason.
you've
So that's
seen
the
and
problem. He's got to get
differences
bigger, and he's
it's
just not
made?
that big.
Yeah, I wish I had it when I was back in Oklahoma playing. You know what I mean?
Hype will comment on NIL right there. Kind of agree.
I think
I feel him on that.
For
He's
our
getting paid
players in their lives with their family, it's afforded them opportunities, and I think that's important. I do truly go back to my playing days and feel like you wanted to be a part of it and have an opportunity to use the game in a positive way for your family as well. And so for our guys, being able to increase their brand, their notoriety, and also be taking
Josh
take
Heupel's
care of the
obviously
families
going to be for NIL
is a real positive.
on that one.
Okay, we'll take one final question over to our right, about 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah, Coach, Rob Brown with SEC Sideline Sports Network in Memphis. It's always darkest before dawn. We hear college football's ruined, NIL, the portal, and everything. And here's Tennessee all of a sudden brought in $62 million in donations last year. It's pretty much idiot-proof college football.
Yes,
season
that's
ticket
why
sales.
people like Greg Singh
What do you
generate
tell
profits.
people that keep trying to kill the
Heard
game?
it here first. He's going to take this down.
This is the greatest game. To me, this is the greatest game that there is. You
Nothing
look
beats college
at
football.
the experience that young people have from 18 to 22, 23 years old. Their growth as a man, and the game affords that. You learn how to set goals. You learn how to handle success. You learn how to handle failure. You learn how to lead. You learn how to get yourself ready to be the husband, the father that you want to be when football ends, and it ends for everybody someday.
Basic quotes from Heupel, but they're not lying.
It's within the landscape of college football in today's world that we got to navigate, but there's a lot of really smart people that can help us navigate it the right way, and I'm excited about the future of football.
Thank you.
Coach Heupel, thank you for your time this morning.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right, that was Josh Heupel. My quick takeaway from Josh Heupel's press conference at SEC Media Days is that he was typical Josh Heupel. He didn't really say anything, but I read one thing into what he said, and I want to talk about this for a minute. Josh Heupel very clearly believes in his secondary more than he ever has. And it's because of what he said and when he said it, despite how vague it was. And here's what I mean by that. Josh Heupel said, "This is the deepest we've been since I've been here," when asked directly about the secondary. Guys, that's a huge underrated thing. Heupel very clearly, without letting it out, is very happy about the retooling of the secondary. It's worked against Tennessee football in the analytics, PFF, SP+, and things like that because they lost everybody, and loss of starters hurts you. I've always said that loss of starters only hurts if your starters are good or help with chemistry. That secondary last year did help with chemistry, but they weren't that good. Largely, they were hurt. So, Tennessee has they have Ricky Gibson III and getting more experience now, but they brought in Jalen McMurray, Jacoby Thomas, Jalen McMurray, and Jermon McCoy out of MTSU, Temple, and Oregon State. They went straight for veteran leadership. They forced a lot of guys into the transfer portal, most notably Wesley Walker. And it does seem like, I said at the time, they were getting better with it. Josh Heupel has said this is the deepest team in the past. He said all the coach speak and all the positive things, but he was raving about the secondary in the coach speak. And then he said this is the deepest team we've got since I've been here, specifically when asked about the secondary. Leading me to believe is he finally has options in the secondary, options that he wants. Now, you want to ask the question, is it the same with the offensive line? Because that's a big question with left guard. And nobody did ask about the offensive line, which kind of is a bit of a red flag because to me, that's the biggest question on the offensive side of the ball. He was asked about running back and touted Dylan Sampson. Gave coach speak, though. I don't think Dylan Sampson is going to be the feature back. I don't. I don't know. And I do think it stands out that Dylan Sampson is being considered a leader. But yes, with those 3 transfers, and as Sean Bledsoe notes, he is very happy to have Boo. You're right, Boo Carter. I think Heupel realizes he's got better weapons and he's got more depth. So I think the depth part is the addition of the 3 transfers. Jermon McCoy, Jacoby Thomas, Jalen McMurray. McCoy and McMurray are both cornerbacks. Thomas is a safety. Boo Carter is a potentially transcendently great safety who could start as a freshman like Eric Berry and be a freshman All-American. Then you have Ricky Gibson III, who showed a lot of promise down the stretch of last year, who's probably going to be very good this year. Jordan Matthews, I still believe in. There's other veterans, Jordan Thomas and Christian Harrison. They understand the game very well. I think they're very smart players, and they could be used a little more. They were young last year. I think the combination of those guys, and if Andre Turrentine has flipped a switch, there should be a lot of excitement over what the secondary could be. Again, with Josh Heupel, coach speak, he's the king of saying nothing. And typically you're not going to get anything from Josh Heupel. But he let that slip, guys. He let that slip that he loves the secondary. And that wasn't by accident. As a result, I think I can safely say Josh Heupel loves the secondary. And I think that's a great sign for Tennessee going forward. I think that adds to the allure that maybe you should expect them to potentially win the national title. They'd have been in the college football playoff, and the secondary was up to snuff last year. So that is very intriguing. As far as the offensive line goes, Derek Owen says he read an article on Lance Hurd and Brian Kelly, I'm guessing is who you're referring to. And Kelly saying they replaced Lance Hurd with a better player, that he wasn't a scheme fit. Well, Lance Hurd did transfer because LSU has, I think, the best left tackle in the country coming up this year. And Hurd wanted to play specifically left tackle. That's why he transferred to Tennessee. Doesn't mean Hurd's not good. Doesn't mean Tennessee is hurting with Hurd, though. They're still in great shape. Sean Bledsoe says Sampson is a guy who will get a lot of reps, but he expects a younger guy to blow up immediately and take it, kind of like Gray did a few years ago. Eric Gray, yes, the Pruitt money, probably the poster boy for the Pruitt money and Chick-fil-A bags. I think Dylan Sampson will be a playmaker, but I do think they need a feature back. And again, as of right now, I think Peyton Lewis is the only guy that can do it. Khalifa Keith can pick up blocking. He's a physical will get back and be a short yardage guy, but he's not a big play threat. Your feature back has to be a guy who's a big play threat, can also pick up pass blocking, and can also get you those typical 4 to 5 yard runs on handoffs. Dylan Sampson is not just a big play threat. He's a big play guy. And he can get those 4 to 5 yard runs, but his pass blocking is atrocious. That hurts the offense. Khalifa Keith is a 4 to 5 yard guy, picks up pass blocking, can get you the 1 yard you need, but he can't break off the big play. That creates problems. So the takeaway of Josh Heupel's press conference, having said nothing, as we expected him to say nothing, didn't give away anything. He is the king of that. I always say, if you ask the right question, you can still glean something from it. And Josh Heupel let slip indirectly that he's in love with the improvements made by the secondary. That is the story of this. For him to say this is the deepest team he's had since he's been here, when asked a question directly about the secondary and rave about the play of the secondary, that means that you should be excited about the improvement that has been made by the secondary. I think that's a big deal for Tennessee going forward. I think Josh Heupel and Tim Banks have finally got the roster they needed. And hey, maybe Willie Martinez is the guy. Look, remember, the secondary was where they took the biggest hit. I want to point this out. When Jeremy Pruitt left, the secondary was where they took the biggest hit. So many guys left. Josh Heupel really had a makeshift secondary unit, and he's really been chasing his tail trying to get it back up to snuff for the past 3 years. I don't know if it's up to snuff this year, but I think it could be better than it has been. And he's had some bad luck along the way. I mean, Trey Flowers getting hurt in 2022 and playing with injuries. Jalen McCullough getting indicted because he punched a guy who broke into his own apartment and wouldn't leave. I still can't believe he got indicted for that. It's one of the stupidest things ever done. But the combination of those two things, look, I have to be honest that I think Josh Heupel has been playing with the deck stacked against him with the secondary. I think all he wanted to do was have the secondary be average. You know, you don't have to do the whole Derek Dooley thing. Derek Dooley once said, if you're going to win, you got to be good at everything in the SEC. That's what a coach says when they don't know ball and they don't know what they're going to try to do for their team. You don't have to be good at everything. You just can't be bad at anything. And I think Tennessee finally, and Heupel thinks they have the secondary finally to not be bad. And they have a couple of good players. Gibson and Carter, Ricky Gibson and Boo Carter are potential stars. Jalen McMurray and Jamal McCoy are veterans and experienced players. And again, Jacoby Thomas is also an experienced player at safety. So I think that Tennessee has a rotation now of starters. And they have depth of guys who should be able to play based on the recruiting that has been done. So I am relatively high on the secondary. I was cautiously optimistic about them going into the season. I'm now much higher on them because of what was said. So keep in mind what's said on that. Pay attention going forward. That was a huge comment by Josh Heupel right there. Quote, the deepest since I've been here when asked directly about the secondary. He may have said it about the team overall, but he meant it about the defensive backs. And all that means is that Josh Heupel is extremely high on how much better the defensive backs can be this year. My prediction for the starting lineup is going to be Ricky Gibson at one cornerback and Jamal McCoy at the other cornerback, Boo Carter at strong safety, Jacoby Thomas at free safety, Jalen McMurray at nickel. I think that's where they're going to go. And I also think that you're going to see Christian Harrison and Jordan Thomas get experience at safety, Andre Turntine be the backup at nickel, and the third cornerback after those guys will be Jordan Matthews. I think this is going to be a great combination of players, and Tennessee should be excited. That's it for us for Tennessee coverage on SEC Media Days. We have a lot going forward. I still got videos I'm going to release of Josh Heupel and Keenan Peely in the suite room with the group interviews. Dave Hooker, our own Dave, will have one-on-one interviews with all of them himself. We also have interviews coming the rest of the week with Josh Pate, Paul Feinbaum. I mean, we got a lot going on. Dave's running all over the place in Dallas. I'm just trying to redirect things here, which is why I had technical difficulties at one point. But we will be back tomorrow. Thanks for staying on us as this show went long. We wanted to do it. It's a lot of fun. All of this has been a lot of fun. And we're going to keep doing things like this as time goes on. For Caleb Calhoun, this has been a presentation of